Hey guys, so let's talk about iOS 17.4. The first beta, of course, has been out now for a couple of days, and as per usual, I want to come back and share with you guys any additional new features and changes that I may come across after using the software. Now, not everything is good. I wanted to share also a few bugs and issues that continue to occur, and let's go ahead and dive right into this video. Now, the first thing I want to do is give you guys a quick recap of what's new with iOS 17.4 in case you didn't catch my initial coverage, which of course will also be linked in the description. Number one, iOS 17.4 includes the new Unicode 15.1 with over 100 new emojis will be coming to iPhone with this software update. Now, with that, Apple also added a new sub-menu to the stolen device protection where you have new options to choose from for that security delay. So you see right there, that is the new sub-menu for stolen device protection. Now, Apple, of course, also enabled sideloading, the ability to install third-party applications in the EU. So you'll be able to download any app basically to your iPhone on that region. So this is not globally, but this is something that's coming to the EU with iOS 17.4. Now, aside from that, over the past couple of days, I've noticed a few additional changes, and I want to start off with podcast transcription. So basically the same thing we have with Apple Music where you have lyrics. Well, in the podcast app, if you listen to a podcast, for example, you can now press this transcript button right here, and you can see a live transcript of the podcast itself, which is super cool. So if you listen to podcasts, I think you're going to love this one, and it's now available with iOS 17.4. Now, with that, Apple also added a new change to the SharePlay menus and options. So SharePlay with CarPlay now has been expanded to HomePods and the Apple TV as well. So you can now do SharePlay with HomePods. Of course, you need to be running HomePod OS 17.4 or newer and tvOS 17.4 or newer as well. And of course, your iPhone needs to be updated as well in order to take advantage of SharePlay, which has been expanded to HomePods and Apple TV. Now, something minor that I've also noticed is the UI within the call menu sort of reminds me of the Vision Pro UI somewhat. So Apple has sort of made the buttons more transparent, if you will, so you can see the background a little better on your contact card when you're calling someone. Again, this sort of reminds me of sort of the Vision Pro UI. I think Apple is sort of wanting to make those UIs very familiar, and I think that's where this change is coming from, so you can see the buttons there. But aside from that, I also want to talk about a few things found within the code of iOS 17.4. So a few things found within the code of iOS 17.4, courtesy of Aaron P613 over on X. I'll link everything in the description. There's a new bump iPhone to collaborate on a document. Same thing for games, so you can bump your iPhones to invite to a game or collaborate on a document according to some of this information. Now, iOS 17.4 will also notify you if a third-party application has malware. So with the inclusion of side loading, of course, iOS 17.4 will now notify you if there's any malware within the application. And iOS 17.4 also supports firmware updates for EarPods with USB-C connection and USB-C to 3.5 millimeter headphone jack adapters. So those are some of the things that are new within the code of iOS 17.4. So now I want to go ahead and shift my attention over to some of the issues with the latest iOS 17.4. Now, of course, this is beta software, so issues and bugs are common. So, of course, we'll continue to track this, but I wanted to share this with you guys because not everything is good in this beta. Number one, I want to talk about the charging on hold. So basically, this is a temperature warning where your iPhone just goes on hold while the temperature normalizes and then it continues to charge. As you can see right here, charging on hold, charging will resume when iPhone returns to its normal temperature. Now, I first got this prompt back with iOS 17 where the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro were sort of overheating, and now it's back with iOS 17.4. Hopefully this does not mean the issue has returned in some way, but I did get this prompt twice within the latest beta, and yes, it is beta software, but hopefully this does not continue with future betas. We'll continue to monitor this. Now, an issue that I continue to have over and over ever since iOS 17.2 is the issue where the cell service will just randomly disconnect completely from my iPhone, in some cases for a couple of minutes in areas where I typically have service. Now, I've experienced this myself, and those around me as well family members have also experienced this issue where their iPhones will just stop working or entirely. Basically, the cell service will stop working entirely in areas where we normally have service, which is sort of interesting. It continues to happen with iOS 17.4, and I'll continue to monitor this situation. Again, it is beta software. This type of stuff tends to happen, but I'll let you guys know if this continues to happen in future betas. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this quick follow-up, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.